Hello,
Hi, this is Diane Kruger and
Fatih Akin,
yeah,
and we're here to talk to you about In the Fade, our new movie that opens December 27th. Um, I'm not sure how much you know about our film. It's a movie about a terrorist attack in Germany by neo-Nazis, and my husband, Turkish husband, and kid are being killed by by a bomb.
right. And that means your character, cannot take the whole pain and grief and injustice, so she decides whatever she has to do to create justice, right?
To revenge, to revenge her family.
Yeah, it's a revenge thriller. It's a character-driven revenge thriller, isn't it?
Yes, couldn't have said it better.
Thank you.
All right, so should we do questions?
Yeah, why not? This is for.
Can you read?
Yeah, I have my glasses at home. But for Diane, what was it like for you to return to your native tone for this role?
Tongue.
Tongue. Is it tongue? Yeah, I'm from Germany, so that's my tongue for this role.
So I'm originally from Germany, and I left a long time ago, 25 years. So this is my first German language movie, believe it or not. And it was pretty cool. It was cool to move back for a couple months and live in Hamburg and eat lots of coffee and cake and just hang with the Germans.
I love your German accent. It's so clean. I had this prejudice because you were here in Hollywood or in France for such a long time that you don't speak the language well. That was the prejudice I had. But she's from around the area of Hanover, and they have the most cleanest Germans. It's pure like water.
It's pure like water.
Isn't it?
Yes. Not like you crazy people from the north. Okay, for Fatih, could you tell us where the origin for this film came from?
The idea origin came from we had the so-called NSU scandal in Germany. The NSU scandal. NSU stands for National Socialistic Underground, and these people, there were three. It's a terror group, based on two men and one woman. These people killed between 2000 and 2007 10 immigrants in Germany, 9 immigrants and 1 German police officer, and what the police knew was they were killed with the same gun. And because the victims were immigrants and they were killed with the same gun, media investigations, they thought these murderers were done by the victim itself. It has something to do with the mafia, because who has black hairs or brown eyes has to do something with the mafia.
They must be guilty, yeah.
They must be guilty, so they didn't let the victims be victims. And once it came out that the motivation of the killings was racism and the murderers were this neo-Nazi group, there was a huge shock in all Germany, and I was shocked too. And I had a feeling I have to express my anger somehow, so that made me sit down and write the screenplay. But since Diane came into the game, it became more a personal portrayal of a victim, of any victim. Yeah? Was it okay?
Yeah, very good.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so for me...
For Diane, right. What drew you to the script?
Well, I was really moved by what Fatih kind of touched on, that it is really a movie about the people that stay behind after a terrorist attack. And I remember reading the script and thinking that was something we don't see enough of, because of course we hear about those attacks on TV and we see terrible images of victims, and we try to find out as much as we can about the killer and his motivations, but we really never hear about the people that stay behind and how they can go on living when they've lost everything. So that touched me, and I thought that was different, and also a very universal subject, because it happens all over the world, and even though it's in German language, we can all relate to that because we live in this reality of terrorism.
Good answer.
Oh, thanks.
Good question. Good answer.
Good question. Good answer. Okay. Oh, both of us.
Okay.
Why is this story timely and important in today's political climate?
That's a good question. Why is the story timely and important in today's political climate? The issue the film is about, like racism, although it's a German movie and it's in German language, and we had the feeling like it's a very German topic, on the same time, the world, maybe because of globalization, had become a place where certain issues were really shared. Racism is something, even if we Germans kind of like invented a neo-Nazi shit, it's our import thing. I don't know, it's export thing. There's so many racism all over the world right now. We have these problems in Hungary. We have these problems in Poland, Greece,
here in the U.S.
And so we were talking about racism and victims of racism, and somehow our film hit an interest all over the world. And I think because there is a gap where people would like to get more informed about these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the terrible impact that it has on our daily lives. Like I said, we've become nearly numb to these attacks, no matter what their motivations are, political or race related. So I think it's important to take the time to look to the people that it actually affects on a daily basis and who have to live with this terror, at home.
Yeah, and we forget a lot of things. We're so good in forgetting. These times we're living in, they're so fast with information. Something happens today, tomorrow people forget about it. And by doing such a film and let it run to movie theaters or, I don't know, video on demand, home entertainment, whatever, it's kind of like to keep the attention of the audience, of you people, focused on that issue, issue of racism. So, for Fatih. I talked so much and I got a new question. So, for Fatih.
How did casting Diane come about? Did you have her in mind, or did you also audition other actresses?
No, I didn't audition other actresses.
Of course not. Once you've met me,
right?
Why would you?
No, exactly. We met on a party because we're party people. We met on a party 2012 at the Cannes Film Festival. Mm-hmm. I had a tiny little documentary there called Polluting Paradise. You can see that also on video on demand. And late that night I was DJing and I was a bit drunk, and it was a documentary film, so it was like a documentary film party. And suddenly these celebrities came, Diane Kruger and others, and blew the party by being there. And Diane straight came to me.
Yeah, I wanted to meet Fatih because he's been my hero director coming out of Germany that I really wanted to work with, and I was there as a jury member and thought this would be my opportunity to finally get to meet a German director that I wanted to work with. And so I thought, as you do in Cannes, let's go to a party and meet him.
Yeah, and that was the night where I was like, oh my gosh, she has this clean German accent, that was there on the beach. And it was a nice chat, and I never forgot it. And when I was writing this, and on a very early stage, I was asking myself, who could act this? And suddenly, and that's instinct, you came to my mind. Diane, that would be a good thing. That would be glamorous, and then we met, and I sent her the screenplay, and I was surprised that you were so into it.
Really?
Yeah, I thought like this screenplay will scare you or something,
Well, it scared me.
Yeah, but for other reasons.
Yeah. No, yeah, but I would have been an extra in your movie. Let's be honest.
Oh, thank you. No, she's in every scene in the film, and we met and talked about the screenplay. And while we're sitting and chatting about the screenplay, I felt very strong, it has a strong impact that she would be the right one for doing this. She asked the right questions, she gave the right answers, you know, and I was right, you know, because she's the perfect cast. She's awarded at the Cannes Film Festival for Best Actress with this film, you know. Yeah, thank you. So it started in Cannes, and somehow
Now we're here.
yeah.
Yeah.
For Diane, name 3 words that best describe Katja's character. Could you relate to her?
I would say badass. Very. She's brave, I would say, yeah, and compassionate. I think she's a great mother. You know, I related to her because I feel like she's someone that all of us have grown up with. She's a very quotidian character. She's someone, you know, who had fun when she was younger and got tattoos and did recreational drugs. And, you know, she fell in love with a Turkish man, which in Germany is still, you know, a little bit of a stigma for the nice German blue-eyed girl to marry a Turkish man. But they got married. And then, you know, they had a family, and she was a stay-at-home mom and was devoted to her family, and you know, she would do anything for them, and she becomes this warrior. I did relate to that and admired it more than anything. Right? For you, how did the collaboration with Josh of the rock group Queens of the Stone Age come about?
I was listening to a lot of Queens of the Stone Age while I was writing the screenplay.
I know.
And because it had the perfect mood for this film, because on the one hand, this film has this melancholic atmosphere, but at the same time it's a very aggressive film. So I was thinking, like, which music direction combines these 2 elements, you know, like aggression and melancholia. And so Queens of the Stone Age came to my mind because I'm also a fan of the band, you know. And I wrote down a list of 10 Queens of the Stone Age tracks in order, like, this is the music your character would listen to, you know. And Diane agreed on that and understood also the character through the music. Mm-hmm. So I gave the list with the tracks to my music supervisor in Germany. I was like, could you clear those rights, please? And she was like, 10 songs, that's a lot. Why don't you ask the guy or the group to write you the soundtrack, the score? So through the help of Diane and Diane's management, we made a connection to Josh Holmes' management. And it was like fairy tale, you know. I'm the biggest fan of this group, and suddenly I'm on the phone with Josh Holmes, and I asked him if he would be interested in such a thing, and he said yes. Why don't you send me the film? And I sent him a very rough version of the film. It was 3 hours, and that guy was busy with the mixing of the Villains album, the last Queens of the Stone Age album. And I was so surprised that he said, hey, I love the movie, and I love Diane in the film, and I love everything she's doing in the film. I would like to put my hands on it. And that's the thing where I'm most proudly of, you know, so that he made the music, you know, and it's his music, but 2 members of the band helped him. That was Schumann and Troy.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh.
What is next for both of you? Well, I think you're making a film in Germany, right?
Right.
And then I'm going to make a film, maybe shooting in Germany, by the way. You don't even know that.
No. What
Yeah,
is that?
so I think I'm going to make this movie about the Mossad. You know, I told you, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's called The Operative. And it looks like we're going to be filming a lot in Berlin.
It's close to Hamburg. It's
Yeah.
2 hours with a train, so come over.
Never going to leave you here. And then hopefully we'll have another project soon, you know.
Yeah, it's about Marlene Dietrich, you know.
Yeah.
So here she is. You know? But, I mean, like Marlene Dietrich is so difficult to cast, especially because she was such an extraordinary person, so special, so sexy, and so much ahead of her time. And you cannot really do this with the right cast, you know. And since Diane mentioned that her kind of like dream is to play her, to portray her, I was like, that makes sense, you know, because I have the perfect cast. Plus, she's a great actress, you know. And so we are producing it together. We're looking for the right writers for that, because for me it would be a bit difficult to write a Second World War period in English, you know.
Yes.
So, but we work on this.
There you go. Okay. Oh, look, how weird is that? We see each other. That's weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Johnny Cruz is asking, how would you describe making a film in another country versus the US? I'm assuming that's for me. Well, I mean, the language is different. The scale is different. You know, we were like 50 people maybe in total on set, whether in the US often it's, you know, hundreds of people. And it's, I don't know, I felt like there was a more of a family feel about our movie, because, you know, there's less people and it's more on a human scale. You know, there's no studios involved, and big lots and big sets. It feels more intimate, maybe, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I never shot here, but I think that would make sense. What is that?
What was the most difficult part about making this film?
For me, the most difficult was to keep the concentration on the same level like Diane. I mean, usually I'm the most focused person on my own set. I'm the center of concentration, and here for the first time there was somebody on set who was more concentrated than I was, and that was you. You know, and it was really like a battle of concentration, like who's more concentrated today, you know. And that was really exhausting, you know, to keep up the level of concentration. Usually my sets are like party sets. No matter what we shoot, you know, in the evenings when there's a rep, we do party and stuff. But this time,
no parties.
We were too exhausted because of the concentration level.
Yeah. What was the most difficult part about making this film? I think for me, anyways, it was obvious the level of emotional grief that I had to go into, and that wasn't easy to carry all the time. You know, being very emotional all the time and crying and just feeling depressed for a lot of it. But I think the court scenes in the middle of the film, there's a big trial, and weirdly, that for me was nearly harder to make, because you're 2 weeks in a room without windows, and it's a lot of dialogue, very linguistic dialogue that can become very boring, and so the danger is to kind of become bored by it and not keep up the tension that a real person would have.
Yeah, that was difficult. The court stuff, everything was difficult, but that was especially that was.
It felt draining.
Yeah. Because they all sit, all the actors. In Germany, in court, people sit. They don't stand up and have those monologues while standing and walking. They sit, and you have to film it, and it still has to be interesting visually. That was tricky.
Yeah. Let's pick a fun one. Oh, Daniel O'Hanlon says it looks good.
What, do we look good? Or the trailer? Or,
obviously.
You look good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this one's good. Fatih, what directors were inspiring to you early in your career?
Scorsese, mostly him. Not because of I want to do films like Scorsese. It was when I was a film student, I discovered the film Scorsese did when he was a student, and these were like films which deal with his background, with his heritage, being like an Italian American, being a Catholic, and so he was a director who had same issues that I had, in my personal life, and he could express it through film. And that was the most inspiring thing for me in cinema, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Let's do one more.
One more.
I don't have my glass on. You
I'm just trying to pick. Which one do you want?
Diane, was
it
it challenging to work with a director like Fatih after working with the directors like Quentin Tarantino? What does that mean? And Fatih, what was the inspiration that caused you to bring the story to the emotion? Let's stay on the Tarantino thing.
It's challenging in a different way. I think for actors, one of the biggest challenges to adapt to each director. You know, like each director has a very specific style of working and personality, and you have to adapt to how they want to work. You know, Quentin is Quentin Tarantino, so he's very large and big, and he's very vocal, and what he does, which is really strange, he sits right next to the camera. So he's watching you while you're filming, which is really strange, you know, somebody's staring at you. But you're challenging because I think you know exactly what you want. You're very demanding and make sure that, you know, every little detail is taken care of. And you pushed me too, you know, I mean, we had to do scenes that were very challenging on an emotional level. And without you, I would have been lost. You're like the circus wrangler, you know, and you really were.
The captain on the boat, right?
Well, every director is the captain of the boat, but I think you're really good with actors. You know what I mean? Like you know exactly what you want out of a performance, so you rein everybody in, you know?
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go.
We've got the trailer to show you.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. The trailer.
Let's see the trailer. And please come see it December 27th.
Yeah.
Bye.